So it's been about a week since Alex Pereira lost, and I've had some time to, process this sort of information. As you guys know, I've made a prediction video talking about how I think that Pereira would sleep Magomed Ankalaev, and it didn't go that way. My prediction was wrong. So I have been kind of sitting here, not really sulking. I've moved past the fight. I have come to terms with what has happened in that fight, but as events have played out, as things have gone on with the UFC, as we've seen with Pereira coming out, with Ankalaev coming out, with John Jones and Tom Aspinall coming out, what I have realized is that maybe Alex Pereira losing was probably for the best. And that sounds like cope, and it kind of somewhat is, but it also isn't. Because with recent news with Tom Aspinall pretty much saying that the fight with him and John Jones is pretty much confirmed, and John Jones tweeting out that him and Alex Pereira, that fight in the future, is pretty much off the table. That pretty much means that we're going to get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall, or that it's at least very highly likely that we will be getting John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. So, Pereira losing means one of two things. That means John Jones versus Pereira is not going to happen. And secondly, it means that John Jones was holding out this entire time to fight Tom Aspinall because he wanted to fight Alex Pereira instead. So, what the fuck are we doing? What is John Jones doing? Like, why is this even a question for the UFC to even potentially book this matchup? If Pereira beat Ankalaev, that means we probably would be getting a Pereira moving up to heavyweight to fight John Jones. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Now, I could sit here and pretty much argue and pound the table and tell you all the reasonings as to why I think that Jones versus Pereira is a bullshit matchup and why it should never happen. And maybe I'll go ahead and say a couple things here. Tom Aspinall is interim champion, a defending interim champion. He defended that belt. There is no excuse in the world as to why he shouldn't be getting the next shot at the undisputed belt. It makes zero sense. He already beat Curtis Blades. He already beat Sergey Pavlovich to even get to the interim belt. Why are we even considering an Alex Pereira fighting a John Jones instead of Tom Aspinall? Now, if the UFC was like, we'll do Pereira after the Tom Aspinall John Jones fight, that's a whole different story. But it's the fact that they were willing to skip Aspinall again to give Pereira a title shot at John Jones. That to me is absolutely ridiculous. Tom Aspinall has been waiting for this matchup for forever now. I think he has all of the justification in the world to get that next shot versus John Jones. But at the end of the day, we will probably be getting Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. And I have to say it, man, that fight, this matchup is going to be the biggest fight, I wouldn't say in UFC history, but it's going to be damn up there. Everybody's been clamoring to see this fight. There's plenty of Aspinall pickers. There's plenty of John Jones pickers. It's I would say, divided community amongst people. I am more so on the Tom Aspinall side when it comes to this, but I think John Jones ducking Aspinall pretty much outright. He even changed his Twitter profile picture to be a picture of a duck. So it's like people have now kind of been, I would say, turning on John Jones. I think there's been some John Jones fans who were kind of going into this saying,
John Jones is the GOAT. He beats Tom Aspinall.
but now maybe they're like, well, John Jones has been really actively like ducking Tom Aspinall. Maybe he's worried about something. Like it raises some questions, some doubt into some of these John Jones fans and some of these John Jones truthers that maybe they might want to reconsider their whole GOAT idea, which I am on the side of the fence where I think John Jones, I don't think you can be a GOAT with having, steroid testing positive for steroids and stuff. I think that you have to have a clean record at least. There can be some questions like how it is with GSP, but at the end of the day, GSP never tested positive for steroids, so I have to consider GSP as one of my GOATs. But if you want to consider John Jones your GOAT, I mean, go ahead. I'm not going to sit here and debate you and argue with you about that. I think it's just a matter of opinion. But us getting Tom Aspinall versus John Jones is going to be a massive fight. And I think it would be a bigger fight than Pereira versus Jones. And at this point, this fight has garnered so much attention, so much opinion, so much traction that I think this is obviously going to be the biggest fight of the year. And not even only just the year, I think for the rest of the entire decade. I think out of the entire 2020s, John Jones versus Tom Aspinall will be the biggest fight. Now, if we do get Islam versus Taporia, that might be a close second, but I think this John Jones Tom Aspinall fight is just going to absolutely clear that in terms of just the trash talk, what has happened. I mean, Tom Aspinall not really a trash talker, so I don't think he'll do too much with that. But I think just overall, I can already see the Twitter arguments. I can already see all the replies when it comes to this fight. If anybody's picking Tom Aspinall, I can already see people saying, "Oh, John Jones is the GOAT. He's the best of all time. Dana White says he's the best. He is the best." You know, we're going to see that sort of narrative be pushed. And if people are picking John Jones, you'll see sort of a similar narrative where people will be saying, "Oh, John Jones has been ducking Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall's killed everybody in the first round. He's a beast. He's going to KO John Jones." There's going to be certain narratives going into this matchup. I can just see all of the discourse happening in regards to this fight. And just this fight is going to be so huge. I think we haven't had a million pay-per-view buy, pay-per-view, whatever. Like there hasn't been a pay-per-view that's reached a million buys in a very, very long time. And I think this fight will come close to it. I think it will be a fight that can come close to selling 1 million pay-per-views. And I can't say the same thing for other potential matchups or fights in the future. Like I don't think Taporia versus Islam would sell a million pay-per-views. I think it would sell like around 600K, 500K. I mean, the UFC has been kind of hiding their pay-per-view buy numbers for, I think, quite a while now. But if a card sells good, typically what they do is they release the pay-per-view buy numbers. I always remember them releasing Adesanya's pay-per-view buys. They even did a few for Kamaru Usman's sales. So I can see, like, if the UFC does a really good pay-per-view event, they will release a sale of the buys of it. And I can see them, if this goes over a million or even gets close to it, they will release that number. And I do think that this matchup or this pay-per-view, when it does go down, I think it will come close to a million pay-per-view buys. But I guess getting back to the whole narrative that started this video, Alex Pereira losing is the catalyst for this. Without Alex Pereira losing to Ankalaev, there is no chance at a pay-per-view that could sell a million. There probably is no chance that we would ever see Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. We would just see Pereira versus Jones. We kind of know why Jones wants Pereira. This guy doesn't really grapple. He's a kickboxer. John Jones probably thinks to himself that he could probably take him down and choke him out and get an easy win. But when it comes to Tom Aspinall, he don't think that way. That's not how his brain works. So it's pretty clear and evident that John Jones thinks that Tom Aspinall is a tougher fight. So that information, come to your own conclusion with it, whatever you want to interpret it as. But to me, John Jones is, again, for like the 100th, millionth time, he's ducking Tom Aspinall. But without Alex Pereira losing, this doesn't happen. And as much as I love Alex Pereira and what he has done for UFC 300, fighting Khalil Roundtree as well, putting on a nice performance there, saving UFC cards, being active champion, winning, having fun fights. It sucks that he's not champion anymore, but what we get to do is run back him versus Ankalaev, because it was, at the end of the day, I think a pretty close fight. I think that Ankalaev won 3 rounds to 2. I went back and rewatched that 5th round. I think Ankalaev got it done. I think he won, which sucks, but you know, Ankalaev wins. We can run that back, and maybe if Pereira wins that belt back, it creates a whole new narrative for him and probably a bigger third fight between him and Ankalaev. And in that meantime, we get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't mind if they did Ankalaev versus Pereira on the same card as Jones Aspinall. That would be a huge pay-per-view event. I would buy it. I think a lot of people would already buy it just off the name value, and that would be absolutely amazing. So I guess at the end of the day, I still am not too stoked that Pereira lost, but maybe it kind of was for the best. If someone came up to me before the Ankalaev Pereira fight and said, "Would you take Pereira losing this fight to Ankalaev if that meant John Jones and Aspinall was guaranteed to happen?" I would probably say yes. I think I would take that. And it's not because I don't like Alex Pereira. I just truly think that Tom Aspinall versus John Jones is the biggest fight to make of this entire decade, and it needs to happen. It must happen. This fight should not be an if or an maybe. It must happen. It has to happen. If it doesn't happen, that is an extreme disservice to every single UFC fan ever that has ever existed. There can be UFC fans in the grave right now. If Aspinall Jones doesn't happen, you are spitting all over their grave. I don't care. This fight must happen. So again, Pereira losing, not ideal for me, but you know what? It is what it is. We get maybe Tom Aspinall, John Jones to happen. So Yeah, that's really it. Like, subscribe, button on notifications, but I'll see y'all later. Peace.